Thank you for joining me for yet another unboxing video. And today we have an expansion for Twilight 2000, Urban Operations. Again, Twilight 2000, brought to you by Free League. This is an expansion. You need a copy of Twilight 2000, the core box set, to use this expansion. Again, today we're talking Urban Operations, which is an expansion for the role-playing game Twilight 2000. Here in Krakow, it's like the old world returned. I can smell food vendors near the market, hear the metal grind of the swings children play on, and buy just about anything. And who misses bumper-to-bumper traffic? Civilization didn't die, Kaisa says. It's just retreated to Krakow. It seems too good to be true, but after so long fighting for each day, each scrap of food, each bullet, I'm willing to risk a little hope. Urban Operations is the first expansion to the new edition of the role-playing game classic Twilight 2000 and includes everything you need to play in urban environments. The expansion is loosely based on the classic module Free City of Krakow from the first edition of Twilight 2000, but designed to be used in any city environment. The box set includes new combat and travel rules for urban environments, close quarter fighting, new factions for the PCs to tangle with, new scenario sites to explore, and introduce the new plot concept to create a longer story arc. It also describes the two sample cities, Krakow and Karlsborg, in text and maps. And also all that stuff's going to be included, which we'll show you in a few minutes. Again, this is from Free League Publishing. It was released in 2023. For more information, go to freeleaguepublishing.com. I picked this up at Pal's, brand new for $40. They did give me, for being a teacher, they did give me 15% off, which was very, very nice of them. So let's crack this bad boy open and see what kind of goodness we have inside the box. So again, you would need a copy of Twilight 2000 from Free League to enjoy this expansion, or to use this expansion, Urban Operations. So let's crack this bad boy open, see what kind of goodness we have on the inside. Oh, and we have lots and lots of goodness I can see already. What will we do without our good friend silica gel? Remember, don't eat that. We also have a copy of other books released by Free League, including The One Ring, Alien the Role-Playing Game. We got Blade Runner in here. Let's see what else we got here. Dragonbane, Vaesen, Tales from the Loop, Forbidden Lands. Ooh, the core box set of Twilight 2000. Again, you need to make a purchase of this to use this expansion. Symbaroum and Morkborg, Mutant Year Zero, and Coryllis. And Tales from the Loop. There you go. So that's also included. So let's pop this open to some degree. So there's a lot of stuff in here. And we're going to start off with the Urban Operations Twilight 2000 role-playing in the World War III that never was. So here is your rulebook. Rulebook is, again, pretty thick. Again, this is not an easy game by any means of the word. So this is a little bit, again, I'm enjoying this. So I started a new campaign using 4 characters as I normally do. And what I'm noticing is that the rules are not as clunky as they were back in the 80s, early 90s when the other editions came out of Twilight 2000. But it is still a little number crunchy. So if you don't like, and to me, again, I consider this more like a war game than I do a role-playing game. So quite oftentimes I've had to take miniatures out and set up terrain so I can kind of get the flavor and the feel of the battle that I've been involved in so far. So again, I look at this more as a role-playing game, war game, versus just being like a role-playing game like a Dungeons and Dragons or Aliens or Pathfinder, Starfinder, any of those kind of games. This is a little bit more, definitely a little bit more realistic than those are. And this is definitely, it's a little bit more number crunchy than the other games I just previously mentioned. Okay, so as we open this up, of course, you get the beautiful table of contents. And of course, there's a lot of information here. The artwork is second to none. It's great. Again, this is playing in cities, some new rules that are being brought across here. What is gone, food and water, law and order, different gangs, the military, the police, the law of the land, transportation, politics, and power. Then we move into our city rules, the rules of engagement within those confines of the city. You can be a police officer, you could be a criminal. So again, you have some new characters that you can now take on. So where in the original box set, you're basically soldiers, here you can now take on the roles of, you know, the general people that you would find within a city. So police officers, criminals. Then you have city warfare. You have the fog of war, you have ambushes, you have spotting shooters, city movement, walls, buildings, indoor, outdoor buildings, blocked hexes, breaching, movement, combat. Again, it's going to be a little different because you're now inside, where the core box says a little bit more open-ended because you're in the fields, you're moving from city to city, and you're moving along roads and stuff like this. This is again more of like a city fight. So if you ever played Warhammer 40K, where the rules kind of change from being the wide open battlefields to now being inside cities, the rules kind of change. So you have to keep that in mind, whether you can, you know, we're firing blind, where there's booby traps, where there's the explosions, which your line of fire is, close quarter combat. There's just a difference in the way you're thinking and playing in this type of combat, especially when it comes to, because now you have to really take in consideration the terrain, the cover, the overwatch, the explosions, booby traps, all those things. If you're breaching a building, all these things now to come into play where they didn't in the initial box set of Twilight 2000. So again, close quarters, you're talking about breaching, moving, ranged combat, heavy weapons now, explosions, traveling within the city, how to use city maps, terrain types, marching, driving, fuel consumption, keeping watch, backing off. There's different checkpoints throughout the city, urban encounters, great artwork throughout the book. Areas of control, checkpoints, stationary players, new encounters. You have burning buildings, robbery, dying spies. So you have additional cards that are added. Remember, you have your nighttime fighting, your daytime fighting. It's all based off of your card deck. And here are your counter cards with your card decks that you would use inside your urban cities. So again, you have burning buildings, robbery, sniper, dying spies, gangs. Again, breakdown of all the different cards that are included in the deck. Stationary encounters, you have radio chatter, rumors that are going around. Again, you roll in your card chart to see what's going on. Again, you're building a world within a world, and you're going to use these charts here to kind of set that up. So if I'm doing something here, you might roll a d10. Let's say I roll it says 9 or 10 or 10 plus. So let's say you roll a 6. There's an explosion. Building next to the PCs explodes. Player character's PC, that's what that means. If they investigate, it looks like a small group was setting up a bomb that detonated early. Plot. These are Spetsnaz or GRU agents who tried to wire this building to explode. The idea was that it would be sabotaged for the last offensive assault. The dynamite went off early. So there's setting a plot there. Radio chatter, you might hear something. Let's say you roll a 1 to 4. It says music possibly from the big playground. If you want to use a scenario location in the city, page 54 comes in. Rumor, spies of the shepherd flock infiltrated the city. Word is they're doing early reconnaissance for some sort of attack. So again, you're rolling that on that chart. The different factions of people that you'll be running into while you're in the city. The Voskoy Mir. You have Free Polish 6th Brigade. Urban plots. You have the Power Play, Countdown, Spear of Destiny. The Last Offensive, Election Year, The Plague. These are different adventures you can go on. The Man Who Would Be King, King Carl 10, 15, 16, 17, Johann, Crown Prince Gottfried, Operation Reset. Again, different scenarios, and then the scenario sites they have, the different maps that they have available in this as well. And they're going to talk about the situation of the big playground and the maps that are included with it. Locations, Mau Mau, Gaz, Bebop, different characters that you're going to run into. You got all different kinds of stuff that's going on here. You have different events that can take place. And again, I don't want to ruin anything for anybody. You have the church. Again, it's another scenario. gives you the map that is included with that. Different characters that you're going to run into, non-player characters. The different parts of the church that you're going to go into. Then you have the power plant. Again, you have a full color map of the power plant. Again, one thing they give you are maps, and these maps are pretty small. So you know that the figures that you normally use, when this is a 20 millimeter figure, they're going to be too big to be used on. So they give you counters. So this is why when if I do something like this, I'll set up a table that's kind of just like this, and I'll use figures in it this way. I can use vehicles this way. So again, with this, something like this with a character this size here, you can't use it on a map this size, or one of these maps here that they arrived with that I'm going to show you in a little bit. You can't fit those on there. And also, if I want to use a tank, which I can use with that type of figure, I can use this now. I can see better for that combat. And again, in this game here, again, the figure in the tank is not included in the purchase of this product. Again, with this game specifically, I tend to use more figures and terrain because I use it as a kind of a 20 millimeter war game mixed with role-playing game. So I kind of do the mix of both because it's easier to see combat and use combat rather than talking about it, because it's hard to visualize it, especially on a battlefield. Like when you're going to the room, you got shields, you got armor, and you're basically in melee. It's a lot easier to see. When you're talking about combat within buildings and within ruins, you need to set up some terrain to really see what's going on there. So that's why I've been handling it that way. And then you've got different characters that you're going to run into again. Then you have the bunker. There's another scenario. And all the information that's required in that. Then it gives you more information about the history of Krakow. Some photos, some pictures of the current situation that's happening there. Some fluff for it. What the neighborhoods are like. Different NPCs that you may run into. People that will help you out. Again, it gives you some more maps. And then you have Carlsborg, which again, more information about that. Fortunately, these pages are a little bent. That's okay. Again, different characters. Again, the brand new out of the box is a little bent, but it's all right. Nothing major. And there you have, again, your index and your table of contents. So there you go. So there is your rule book for urban operations used for the role-playing game Twilight 2000. Again, you need to have a copy of Twilight 2000 to enjoy the use of this expansion. So, along with this, and this, we also have some token sheets. So blast markers, targeting. So again, pointing to the rooftops, upper floor, lower floors, ground floors. Got some sandbag for terrain. There's some rough terrain here, some rubble. So again, you can throw this on here. You have a map. You throw it on there. You got some rubble right there. Okay, it does help. But again, like I said, for myself personally, I've been using a lot more of figures and terrain to use in my Twilight 2000 games. Okay, put that back in again. Very good, nice thick cardboard, nice quality tokens that you have here. Again, you got your rubble, you got your sandbags, and your location, ground floor, upper floors, rooftops, your sites, and your explosions. Front and back, the same. We also have a deck of cards which are included. And these are your encounter cards. Again, you have your daytime and your nighttime encounters. So again, it's based on the pulling of a card. Again, all these icons are explained to you in the core rulebook. So different things that you may encounter throughout here. So we have here burning building, robbery, sniper, dying spy, gang, Baker Street, irregulars, refugees, protesters, police, pop-up market, unlooted building, drunks, impromptu checkpoint, music, street preacher, funeral. So I'm going to just shuffle these up a little bit. Again, all the fronts are the same. Backs, depending on the way you want to look at it. Now, I'm going to just take a couple at random so you get a general gist idea of what's going on in the cards. Okay, protesters. Two of Hearts. Faction, civilian, and police. Number, depending on how. So if I had 4 players, so if you have player character, so if I have 4 times 4 each. So that would be 4 times 4, that's 16. So I'd have 4 of my guys and 16 protesters that would be on the streets. And let's see what it says here. A group of citizen protesters squares off against a local militia or police over an internal matter. Things are very tense between the two groups. Any violence could erupt at any moment. The PCs must either find a way around the brewing riot or intervene. At your discretion, if violence explodes just as the PCs are in the thick of it. A lot of blood could be spilled here. So you're talking about a lot of police officers and a lot of civilians there. So again, that's an encounter you might come into play. Encounter. Gangs. Faction marauder. Number. Player character times 2. So I have 4 times 2 is 8. So it's going to be 8 gang members. One of the local gangs decides to shake down the PCs. This is their territory, they say, and the PCs must pay 100 bullets or the equivalent in other goods for access. They are armed, and if the PCs are better armed, claim they can call on reinforcements. And that was, oh, sorry about that, that was a 4 of diamonds. Counters again. Sniper. Faction marauder. Number 1. Sniper fires at the PCs and other people nearby. Citizens run for cover. They're used to snipers. A recon roll with a -2 modifier can be made each round to spot the sniper, for the nest is well concealed. There's a total number of 1. That's a marauder, and there's only 1 sniper. And that is ace 8 of clubs. Pick one more card here. I'm going to pull this one right here. And the last one. So then we have the funeral, 8 of spades. The characters see a funeral procession. It is quite long, with the casket carried in a black painted wagon drawn by 2 horses. A functioning car slowly leads the procession, a seeming waste of gas indicating the importance of the deceased. It is a somber affair and inflicts 1 point of stress on each PC. This may be mitigated by a CUF roll. See page 77 of the player's manual. So that's what the card would look like. And sorry about that. That's what the card would look like. Okay. Up top, again, it tells you when you're pulling the card and how it would be utilized during the game. So there you go. Those are your encounter cards. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 new cards. And you also get a ton, and when I say a ton, you get a ton of maps also. Let's get the cards over here. Put this over here as well, because we're going to have a lot of stuff coming in now. All right, this is, again, one of the maps that are included. Again, this goes with the different scenarios that are in the book. So this is just something you lay on the table so all the players can see it. And something a little bit different. So as you can tell right here, as I'm saying, if you're fighting over here and you're moving through the city block, it can be very difficult to kind of visualize this when you're just playing with just characters. That's why I always set up some buildings. This way I might set up only one section of it right to here. And then when that section ends, kind of close that off and then kind of put up a couple more buildings. Maybe do this whole section here first. And then when they make the left here, pull that down, then just go by section to section, depending on how many buildings I have to set up and stuff like that. Just so it makes it a little bit easier to see the combat as it's taking place. So again, that's one side of the map, and that is the other side of the map. Then we get a second map. And as you're looking at it here, there's a lot of different things that you see here. A lot of broken barriers. There's a lot of terrain, and that's the thing about City Fight. There's always a lot of rubble, terrain, crates, barrels, broken walls, broken windows, doors, everything else like that. So when you're out here, it's very easy to have a battle. Two guys are fighting here. That's real easy. But if you're under here, under cover, and you're firing into the building over here, again, sometimes you need a visual representation of that. And so that's why, again, I tend to set up a terrain for all this type of fight, especially for city fight. And that's the other side there. Then you get another map. Which is really cool. Flip that over as well. This looks like an apartment complex. Very cool. Again, you get another map. It's really well done. Again, it's done on a small 15mm scale. So, again, the counters that you get for the counters that you receive in the core box set can also be used, I'll see on here, along with the new ones that they have here. So, in other words, you're now using. So, if you're a guy, he's on the rooftop, you put that on top. You put that on top of the roof type. So you drop it on there like that. But the problem is when you're looking from down there and you're shooting up, again, sometimes you need that line of sight, you need that visualization. And that's what 28mm, you know, any type of, this would be 6, 10, 15, 20, 20, 25, 28mm wargaming. It makes a difference, especially when you're talking about combat and war. It really, really makes a difference. And that's the other side there. So sometimes it's just a lot easier to, like I said, pull up the terrain, get it all set up. It takes more time, but then it makes the game a little bit more interesting as well as we're going along. Here we have another map. Flip that over the side of it. Another map. Flip side of that one. Another map of a down plane. It's really cool. That's really cool. Looks like the reactor that they were talking about in the core rulebook that we went over. Very cool. Again, so one thing that they do provide you in here is a lot of different terrain. It's the railway station. So they do give you a lot of cool maps that you can use for your different scenarios. So that's and it helps you with your visualization as well. So that's cool too. And they give you a large variety of these as well, which is really, really cool. And some of them you could put together. Oh, this one opens. Okay, hold on a second. This one's a little bit different. So we're gonna back that a little bit. Right, so this one is going to be, show that print up down there, down to here, and over, and up, over, and there's your center point there. There's your full map there. And then we're going to flip this over. Do this here. Top section and go down. your center point. Coming back up. Again, coming across the top to your center point again. And there is your full map. That's very cool. So you have some half maps, and now we're switching to the full map. So some of these maps are very big, as you can tell. So just like any other map, we got to crack it so it lays down flat the first time you use it. So we have a heck of a lot of information here again. So we'll start from the bottom here, make our way around it. On the top there. Again, this is not a wet dry erase map, so I would not recommend writing on any of these. But they are nice thick. They are very, very nice and thick paper. Obviously, the cartography is fantastic. They're really well designed, very realistic looking. Again, there's your center point. Again, as you're moving through here, you see the hexes on them. So there you go. That's your first side, and then we have our second side, which I'm going to start from this way. Turn over, it seems to make more sense, I guess, to me at least. We'll start down here. Your center point would be right about there, and you could see the hex map, the grid marks on the map. Come down here now. I think I go across here. And there's the map overall, again, the center areas. So it's really, really well designed map again. So that's your second map. That's your second map there. So you got another map there. And finally, you have another large map of the area that's surrounding the cities. So again, the way that I'm figuring to use this expansion is that when I get through my adventure that I'm currently on with my team of soldiers, if they survive the scenarios that I'm putting them through, if they do survive, we can now kind of drop a hint in them that they need to either go to Carlsberg, that new messages were radioed in from their from the leadership that says they need to go to Carlsberg, or they need to go to Krakow, and that's what they need to accomplish now, and that's where they're going to be traveling to. And again, here's your large map of Carlsberg, and a map of the city itself, the surrounding areas. Goes down here, and of course it opens up to a large map, as you can tell. So numbers on the left-hand side go from 1 to 54. going across the bottom goes from A to W. Again, you have your map legend down here: build up Lake, River, open road, ruins, woods. And it kind of tells you have your hexes all along here, which tells you your distances that you're going to have to travel, which is quite a bit, as you can tell. The pock marks show you where the bombs went off during the raids, which is very, very cool as well. So your damaged and destroyed areas, your roads that have been destroyed, your railway that's been destroyed. So all that stuff is indicated on your map. So there is your large map of Karlsborg. That's one side. And when you flip that over, again, we have the city of Krakow. That has been, yet again, been pockmarked by huge amounts of fighting. And has taken on quite a few heavy hits. And there's your map legend again. This side goes from 1 to 41. And across, that's, and then we have from letters A through AE. So it goes A through Z, and then AB. So if you look down here, it'll tell you down here, it goes from A all the way across over here to Z, and then all the way up to AE. Again, there's your center point right there, which is, it has a name in there, which is Zwierzynek, Noe Swite, Stratum. Yeah. So there you have it. There's the complete map there once again. So all in total, sorry, twice I hit the camera. I apologize for that. But when you deal with big maps like this, it's bound to happen from time to time. So you get 1, 2, 3 large maps, and then you get some additional maps. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 maps. So you have, it's actually 16 because they're all front and back. And then you have the large maps also. So again, you have a total of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 11 maps, which means that you have 22 sides of maps. You have your token sheet. You have your encounter cards, your game catalog, your silica gel, and of course you also have your rulebook for this expansion, Urban Operations. So this is everything that's included. This concludes our unboxing of Twilight 2000 Urban Operations, brought to you by Free League. For more information, go to freeleaguepublishing.com. This was released in 2023. And as always, thank you so much for joining me for this unboxing video. It's truly appreciated. If you enjoyed the video, you could always give us a thumbs up and leave a comment below. You could also hit that subscribe button. This way you're kept up to date as to any time we release new content to the page. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Be safe, be well, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch you on the next unboxing video.